Okay, welcome to the recap. So, first I'll go over the bias that I had. So, first thing I saw is yesterday we left this monthly gap with if you have BADJ on. So, we tapped into this first one, but I wanted to see the second one get hit because we pretty much edged it. If you zoom in here, right? So, this was just like the obvious draw. I didn't think we would leave that. And then I looked at the weeklies, pretty much like same idea. And then the daily. So we had been delivering from this daily gap that we traded higher into on Monday. And then we already swept previous day low. But I pretty much just wanted to look for shorts the whole day. Like the daily looked pretty bearish. And I didn't really have a reason to long. But if you look at ES, we make an SMT with previous week low right here. So we didn't sweep that, and then we also had an SMT with previous day low right here. So I did see, basically we had external and internal SMT here, which I kind of ignored. I still expected ES to sweep previous day low and just trade lower. And I wanted to see it sweep previous week low because there's still just a lot of lows here. I didn't really think this SMT would hold. I figured we're delivering from the daily gap and then we traded into this 4 hour. So I just expected a move lower for the whole day. And then, yeah, the monthly gap was my draw. So what I wanted to see is a move higher first and then a move lower. So pretty much before open, ES trades into this 4 hour gap, rebalances this 4 hour leg right here, and then ES or NQ is actually a lot weaker. Like we have this huge SMT here. We leave the 4 hour gap. And you can, another reason I was pretty bearish is because we closed below this new week opening gap. And then on ES, we also tapped the CE of the new week opening gap and the CE of the 4 hour gap. So I figured this was just going to be like the high of day pretty much. And then we would just go lower from here. And then I saw we had an SMT with London high as well, right here. So, and we are holding midnight open as well. So this here made me really bearish. And yeah, I figured we're definitely going to at least come for a London low because it's right here above the monthly gap. And then, yeah, so right at open, I think this was like super clear draw, right? We had SMT with Asia high, like actually it's like with this high, external SMT, and then an internal SMT here. And this was also pretty much a 1 hour rejection block right here off of midnight open that we're holding the CE of that. So that was just the easy draw, easy trade. Here's open. So pretty much I wanted to look for a short. I wanted to see 930 open higher into something and then just take a short to London low. So the thing is there wasn't really much of an entry for this. Right. This is pretty much the manipulation higher right at 930. But the stop would have been pretty huge. If you took like this 1 minute, it doesn't even get tapped. But yeah, this played out. I mean, I guess it would be like almost 1 to 3. But yeah, there wasn't really like a clean entry for this, but you can see we pretty much just manipulate higher into like this order block, this 5-minute order block, and just this 1-minute gap. And then I was like, okay, I'm not gonna get an entry, so I just waited for see what 10 a.m. does from here. So let's see. So it's 10 a.m. All right. So here's 10 a.m. or here it is. Okay. So I was still bearish from here because I just expected lower. We had, if you go to the 1 hour here, you scroll way back, we still had all these stack lows. So I pretty much, my idea was that 10 a.m. is just going to continue and sweep out these lows. Yeah, we still have all of this that I wanted to see get swept. So pretty much, I wanted to see 10 a.m. open higher into this 15-minute gap right here. Get rid of this. So I drew out this 15-minute gap and then this 15-minute range. I think I drew it from here. All right. And then ES, it was the same idea. I wanted to see this 15-minute gap get traded into. So 10 a.m. open higher into that. I also was still really bearish because I saw how this 4-hour closed on ES. So this also made a 4-hour rejection block. Right. So we were still holding this SMT with previous day low, which wasn't great. But seeing the way this 4-hour close made me super bearish in the way that it was rejecting midnight open and 1800 and this 4-hour gap and the two SMTs. I just expected lower. I expected ES to just ignore these SMTs and sweep out previous week low. And also like this daily candle that has no wick. Right? It just made sense to look for a continuation after seeing that. So 10 a.m. pretty much opened higher at first. But we also had this SMT right here, which I pretty much just ignored. I didn't think it was going to hold. And we left the 9 a.m. low as well, right here. So that was my target. And I don't think, yeah, we left it on ES as well, this low. So I figured, okay, we're going to trade higher into this gap, leave the 9 a.m. low, and then we can short to the 9 a.m. low. But pretty much what happened is we come higher at first, right? And we actually edge the 15-minute gap, and we don't hit EQ of this 15-minute range on ES. We edge, this is the 15-minute gap. We edge this, and we edge the 4-hour rejection block and midnight open. So after seeing this, I wasn't sure because we come down and right here, I thought, okay, maybe we can resweep this high and then get an entry. But pretty much we closed below 10 a.m. here and swept the 9 a.m. low. And I thought, I pretty much just got rid of this. And I was like, my thought process was, okay, this here is going to be the manipulation leg, right? So this is the manipulation for the 1 hour candle, and it's not going to provide much of a retracement, and we're just going to get a continuation from here. So I waited for pretty much a displacement past 10 a.m. and then once I saw this close past, I drew the fib on this leg, and I think we chopped for a little bit. Yeah, so I drew the fib on this 1 minute range right here, and 10 a.m. aligned with EQ of this. We had this little 1 minute gap, and we had a little 5 minute order block here. If you look at the 5 minute, it just looked pretty bearish to me, right? We have this open, we get this 5 minute rejection block holding, we close past 10 a.m. on the 5 minute. So I just figured we're gonna leave this gap and just continue lower from here. And then we had 10 a.m. also aligning with this 5 minute gap here. So I put my limit at 10 a.m. right here. And I have my stop just above OTE here. And then I targeted one of these 1 hour lows down here. Just the most recent one. I think it was this one. Yeah. So this is what I wanted to see. So you could see I get tagged in here, and I was gonna go break even at this first low, and then I get stopped out right away. So after seeing this, I was like, okay, maybe I was still pretty sure about shorts. I still want to see lower with the way we displaced past 10 a.m. It looked like manipulation, displaced past, we're just going to get a continuation. So I re-entered on this 1 minute rejection block here because it was off of OTE right here, and then we had another SMT. We had this little SMT here. So I was still really sure about this. I was like, okay, my stop was just too tight. We're going to hold OTE of this and then sweep out these lows. And we had all these stacked lows on ES still. So yeah, I just re-entered here. And this does not go as planned. So pretty much what happened and what I ignored is this SMT, right? When 10 a.m. opened, we made this SMT, this internal SMT, and we're still holding that. On top of that, we pretty much already hit the draw for the day. So this monthly gap that we hit was the draw for the day. Where was it? Yeah, right here. So to still look for shorts from here was just kind of tricky because this is like pretty much a spot where we could expect to reject. I was still bearish, like I figured we'd just trade a little bit lower, play around in the monthly gap more before getting that reaction. But we pretty much got that reaction right away. And then we had this SMT that I just pretty much ignored. That was still holding. We had still had an SMT with previous day low. And then you can see on ES just wanted to hold 10 a.m. We never closed past 10 a.m. on ES, and then we left all this above. So we had these equal highs on ES here that we left, and these were pretty much equal highs, right? So this would have been a lot cleaner if we actually traded into this gap, and if we hadn't tapped like the monthly gap yet, right? Because we already reached the objective. So pretty much I just tried to short the bottom. This ended up being like low of day, and then this was like the closest draw, this unfilled gap, these equal highs. And yeah, so 10 a.m. opens higher at first, but doesn't really manipulate into anything. And this actually ends up being the manipulation leg here. And then we flip bullish from here. Also, this trade here wasn't the best because we closed past 10 a.m. here on the 1 minute. So that should have told me, okay, we're not going to reject 10 a.m. We're just going to probably flip from here, especially with the two SMTs and these highs. So yeah, pretty much what happened is we flipped this 1 hour candle and closed past 10 a.m. And this was pretty much just the bottom of the day. So yeah, pretty much kind of a pattern trade, you could say. The trade made sense, right? With 10 a.m. getting close past and it aligning with some 1 minute structure. But yeah, the way that we left the 15-minute gap and these highs just wasn't great. And there was no SMT or anything. ES leaves the gap too, so not great. And then you can see the SMTs. Yeah, so on top of that, we also had, if you look at the 30-minute, it's like a pretty clear AMD here. We had, so here's 1800, right? And we didn't really have much manipulation above 1800. You can see we just chop here, and then this becomes the manipulation. So I expected this to just be the continuation, but this ended up being the end of the manipulation leg, and then we trade higher from that. So, yeah. And yeah. So, this 1 hour flips, and looks like this 4 hours flipping too. And the daily maybe he's gonna flip as well. Yeah, so pretty much also when I was trying to short 10 a.m. here, where is it? Here. This 5 minute got inverse as well. So yeah, this pretty much would have been the long entry if you took like this, I guess 5 minute inversion. And yeah, we just flipped from there. This ended up being the manipulation. So yeah, we'll see what we do from there and see you in the next one.